Guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to this afternoon's live stream. We've got a packed show as always, plenty to get through. Last night's pre-season game against Charlotte, Raheem Sterling's debut in a Chelsea shirt, the Jules Kounde saga getting closer, other defensive targets, the attacking line, our new attackers coming in. How are we feeling about it? Loads to go through as always. As you can see, I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. GNA TV himself, the main man, Jem. Mate, thanks for your time as always. Welcome back to the channel. Great to have you on board. Mate, let's get straight into it. Last night, second game of the US tour against MLS side Charlotte. Obviously, you know, pre-season is like about getting minutes in the legs, just getting fit for the season, etc. You know, double sessions, you know, legs are heavy, etc. But having said that, Jem, last night, a 1-1 draw, obviously lost on penalties. Doesn't really matter too much, not overly concerned about it. But there were some kind of worrying sort of reoccurrences that we've seen quite a lot from Chelsea in the past. It's almost a repeat of last season. Tuchel's quotes on the attacking line, I'll get them up in a sec. But before we go into that, mate, what were your thoughts on the game last night itself? Not too many positives from where I'm standing. Really, Raheem Sterling was a big plus. Other than that, I thought Ampadu was okay. It was good to see Levi Colwell get some minutes as well. But other than that, mate, there wasn't a lot of positives from last night.
I think it's very hard to judge these pre-seasons, and I know how reactionary we can become as a fan base, especially on two games. And don't get me wrong, fitness is a big part of them, you know, trying to find their form and whatever else. But you're right. It's about seeing the chemistry. It's about seeing certain players. The thing for me with these pre-season, more so for the young players, the academy prospects and the loanees, this is their big opportunity to really set an example in front of Tuchel and show him why they should be a part of this team. Now, I know, like, our best supposed first 11, like, for example, I know people like Kai Havertz, who talk about Leo, are not actually hitting form in that. And whether it's a fitness thing or maybe it's the same stuff as what we've seen last year is still up for debate. But when I didn't watch the whole game yesterday because it was just a little bit too late. And I did fly through the highlights. And I thought Raheem Sterling looked very good when he came on. He just looked like he had something that we hadn't had last season, which was very direct, dribbling into spaces, pocket spaces, creating space. You know, it just needs something a bit better around him. And when you look at the midfield, and obviously I thought Kovacic and Jorginho had pretty decent, solid game until they come off anyway. I think you could see the difference. And then obviously we had Conor Gallagher and Ampadu, didn't we, step in? And you could look at that goal and then arguably you could put it down to one simple thing, just lack of concentration from the midfield and a lack of the understanding of the position or the role that's required from them. And you know, maybe they do need a little bit of time. You know, it is still very early doors, but the issue is going into this pre-season is that there's not as many games before the Premier League starts again. So Tuchel's got this real hard job of like working out who he needs to keep and then also working out what else they need to add on. Obviously, there's talks about Chelsea doing more business in the window, but you know, it wasn't good. It wasn't good to finish the way we did, to be honest. We should be beating that team hands down, but is what it is.
I mean, yeah, you could, of course, you can say in terms of a fitness perspective, they're going to be much fitter than us at the moment because they're in the middle of the MLS season. But having said that, you know, the quality of players we've got and compared to them, we should be winning. But Jem, as you touched on, mate, you know, Raheem Sterling was a big plus last night. First time we get to see him in a Chelsea shirt. Obviously, some decent numbers in that first half that have got up on the screen there. For me, wasn't concerning, but the fact that he's come in, played one half, and looks so much better than any of the other attackers that we've got, it's just like it's the same old issues. But with Sterling, as you said, direct. You know, no one else is direct like Sterling. You know, to think Tuchel was saying afterwards, he saw like I think he called it 4 progressions or progressive dribbles, and they were all from Sterling. No one else on the side is doing that, so it's a big plus. But we do need more. But from your initial like seeing him from the highlights now, I watched the highlights, so I thought it was very promising. Were you pleased with what you saw? Because it is what we've been missing, but we do need more in the attack than just him.
I've always said that Raheem Sterling's a great addition to the football, to the squad and to the attacking the attack, but it's not enough. We heavily are missing a creator. We're heavily missing someone that can just pick that pass and maybe allow that Sterling to be more effective in terms of being able to use his directiveness and running in behind. You know what I mean? And when you look at like Havertz or Ziyech or Pulisic, I don't know whether they're that sort of creative spark for him. I think Havertz And Sterling will be interesting at a later stage. Bearing in mind, again, we've got to take this into consideration. This is their first game playing together as well. So, something can come good of that. I think Mason Mount could definitely be a good, because there was a moment in the game where Mount, Havertz, and Sterling were the front three.
Yeah, second half. Yeah,
in the second half. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and there was moments where you could see the link up and the movement, and it kind of looked nice because you had this direct player in Sterling that was running behind. Havertz sort of just making runs and trying to find himself in spaces, and Mount being more of the guy that sort of picks the ball up and drives into the space and tries to get the balls in and stuff. Like there is something there to work with.
Yeah.
I just don't know whether it's going to be consistent for the season. Like we still need someone that we can rely on that can just be a bit like Sterling, that can able to dribble, score some goals, but also contribute to the creative side of it, because we miss that massively from the forward line.
Yeah, as you said, you're spot on, mate. There is no creativity there, and there's no one you could really say, like, do you know what? I'm so confident that this guy is going to take chances and put it in the net. We just don't have that. We do create chances, not as many as the likes of Liverpool and City and stuff, but our main issue is that no one seems to put the ball in the net. Everyone needs like 3, 4, 5 opportunities to actually score. And yes, Sterling is much better than what we've got. But even for him as well, his finishing's not the best. He might need 2 or 3 chances to put one in. Hopefully that might improve. But for sure, mate, he was a definite plus last night. Really exciting. And I think there's a lot more to come from him. Hopefully he starts against Arsenal on Sunday. But he definitely looked promising, and kind of the most promising out of the attackers. And I think, with Sterling and Mount, there could be a decent link up there. And if Kai Havertz, which we'll come on to a bit later, can get himself together, then there is potential for something half decent to be formed there. But just a couple of other players I wanted to touch on. We saw Conor Gallagher again. He impressed in the first game against Club America. He was okay yesterday in that second half. I think he was in midfield with Ampadu yesterday, if I'm not wrong. He didn't look as good. I think he'd have with a Kovacic or with a Jorginho or with a Kante or whatever, he'd probably look a bit better because there's a bit more protection for him. He's probably the senior player in that too with Ampadu. He wasn't as good, but I felt he still did okay. Obviously, penalty aside, which, guys, if you've not seen it, it was probably one of the worst penalties you'll ever see. So do check that out if you've not seen it. But what were your thoughts on Gallagher, Jem? For me, I think he's, out of the returning loanees, he's probably got the best chance of making a space for himself in the squad, I'd say. I mean, him maybe alongside Ampadu and potentially Colwell as well. But what did you make of Gallagher last night? Not as good as Club America, but I felt still okay.
He gets a lot of criticism. He's had a lot of criticism on the timeline because obviously his penalty and whatever else. And don't get me wrong, it was a poor penalty. I don't really know what he was doing there, to be honest. He just put his foot through it, He didn't even. But
the thing is, though, he went for the Panenka. He got no air on it. It was just on the ground.
It was like, like a 2-year-old like passing the ball. that is exactly what it looked like, directly straight at the goalie as well. But listen, Conor Gallagher is going to be an interesting player this season. Now, a lot of people are worried because they feel that the system that we play doesn't specifically fit Gallagher. Like, you can't really fit him in the team. And I think Tuchel's kind of trying to see if he can alternate him as a 6, where potentially he can still have the role of moving around and getting forward a bit. But it's the responsibility of being able to understand that when you haven't got the ball, where to find yourself in the position of the midfield. I don't know if Gallagher is more of a sitting 6. For me personally, I think he's more of an 8.
Yeah.
/10. Like, that's where he's at his best. And, a bit like what Mount does, where he just gets around the pitch and he's a nuisance and he works hard off the ball and he tries to win it. And that, I don't really want to specifically see Conor Gallagher sitting in a 6, if that makes sense, and not being able to move forward. And maybe that's something that he can improve on and show us at a later stage that he can do. At the moment, some people feel he can't do that, and we kind of forced him into the team. But I like Gallagher. I think there's a lot of talent there for the boy, and I just feel that we need to give Tuchel the opportunity and Gallagher the opportunity to work together and show us what they can do, and then make our decisions. Yeah, but the problem with this fan base, mate, is one game after game. It's easy just to say he's crap, but you've not. Let's be serious. 2 games, like, relax. Like,
I think we do need to relax. I mean, even I found myself this morning getting a little bit carried away. I'm just like, well, hang on a second. It's pre-season, as you say. We're playing 2 different teams each half. We're not really got our first choice players all on the pitch at the same time. Yes, there are a few concerning issues, but I think we do. It's so easy just to get carried away and think, oh God, this is the be all and end all. We're going to turn up at the first game against Everton and we're going to see the same thing. We might see the same thing, but I think there needs a bit of perspective. But Jim, I just want to talk about the attack, mate. It seems like it's all we ever talk about at Chelsea. 2/3 of the pitch are great or are pretty decent. The final third, arguably the most important third, is where all the problems are. And still, Tuchel even last night himself saying we played a good first half, but only 80 metres off the pitch. The last 20 metres, we struggled with our decision-making and penetration. We weren't good enough offensively, structure-wise, effort, hunger to be dominant. It was not good enough. I know it's only pre-season, but that's quite harsh words from the manager there. But it's a familiar story, mate. This is a difficult question to answer, but what do you think we do? Because at the moment, we need to get rid of, we're looking to get rid of Hakim Ziyech and Timo Werner. Other than Mason Mount and now Sterling, who I think will be good, mate, we're struggling big time. All the other guys just aren't delivering or aren't consistent enough. And I don't know if it's the back three causing the problem. I mean, what do you reckon we do, mate? Because this is, again, we could be heading into another season and you could just have this quote on copy and paste and apply it to probably a large majority of games next season.
Ultimately, this is what we thought we were going to address in this summer window. And obviously there was some comments coming out saying that we're going to be getting another 2 attackers. Maybe Tuchel is definitely forcing the fact of 2 more attackers. Maybe that's next to the list. I expect that to be next to the list. But it's a question of who is out there that we can potentially look at. When you look at Rafinha and Dembele, them type of two players, when you look at their profile and the way that they play, are pretty much what I think we actually miss, like out of that forward line. Like, do you know what I mean? And I know some people said, but we need a goal scorer, but I do feel Tuchel's not looking at 9s at the moment. I think he's looking for players that can do a bit of both. And, he was harsh yesterday, and I don't blame him, to be honest, because at the end of the day, he's got a big decision to make. He's got players that are potentially trying to prove to him that they need to be in squad. Players that have been bought for a lot of money that still haven't hit the heights, that are still trying to find their feet. And it must be a very hard job to try and balance it. And people think, well, play to their strengths and just change the system. But it's very hard to do that with a manager that's, for me personally, the way he always sets up is he's unpredictable. He doesn't tend to stick with one formation. He likes having players that are able to adapt in different formations within the game. You know what I mean? So you could start with 3, but we could end up in a 4 throughout the game. With the attack, it's weird because I think Ziyech will go AC Milan. I think he will go, which means we will have to buy someone. Timo Werner's just I'm not sure on whether he stays or goes. Broja's a bit of a weird one because, again, Tuchel's made it clear he wants him, but I feel from Broja himself, I don't think he feels like he's valued or he's going to be used in the way that he wants to be used. I feel Broja's trying to force himself out the door. Fine, but we do ultimately need that creator. On top of that, we need a creator that can actually score goals. And Havertz is a tricky conversation for many. I've been a massive fan of him and I still stick by him to this point. And I've always said that I think this season he needs to be given the chance. And, I do feel with the Lukaku thing last season, it did sort of hold him back a little bit personally in terms of obviously getting game time and stuff like that. But I think he's definitely on a tightrope now. And this season, he's going to be given opportunities and he's going to have to be consistent. If you look at his games at Bayer Leverkusen and even under Chelsea, the first half of his seasons, he's absolutely he's non-existent. And then he just comes alive at the second half of the season. And that's not good enough. We need consistency. And that's the problem.
Yeah, mate, it's a massive issue. It really is. And as you say, you look at it, okay, Ziyech, as we say, is probably going to go to AC Milan. So you think, right, one more needs to come in there. And if we can get a taker for Timo Werner, that's one out there. We probably need one more. And even if Broja decides he wants to move on, you need one there. So I think we still need a minimum of 2. But then you look at it and you're just like, well, what two are we going to get that moves the needle and makes this attack better? And you think, right, Serge Gnabry signed a new contract. That's not happening. Rafa Leao is probably going to be too expensive. I mean, could we look at that? Maybe. I'm not too sure. Looking at players like Jonathan David at Lille, who I've heard murmurings about. I mean, he's good, but is he what's required at Chelsea? Like, you do run out of options, and you're just like, well, like who is it going to be? Is it going to be a big name from Europe? Is it going to be someone from the Premier League? Are we going to take a punt on someone kind of relatively unknown? But I mean, just on Kai Havertz, mate. Like you, mate. I'm a fan of his. I think he's a very talented boy. But the Kai Havertz we're seeing at Chelsea seems to be totally different to the Havertz we saw at Bayer Leverkusen. At Leverkusen, he seemed to do it all. He seemed to create. He seemed to score goals. At Chelsea, for me, we've kind of stumbled across playing him as a 9. He's not naturally a 9. We know that. He's not a prolific goal scorer. He has moments. He goes on purple patches. But for me, as you say, going into his 3rd season now, this is big. You know, as things stand, he's most likely going to be the main man leading the line next season. For Chelsea Football Club, you need someone that's going to get you 10, 15 Premier League goals leading the line. And at the moment, as things stand, I'm not confident that Kai Havertz is going to score 15 Premier League goals. I wouldn't be that confident of anyone scoring 15 Premier League goals in this current attacking setup. It's a problem. And I don't know what we do with it, because Havertz, you know, isn't it? We don't play a number 10, really. I think an 8 is too deep for him, really, if we did switch to playing 3 in the midfield. And then he's not he's not like an inside forward, and he's not an out-and-out winger. So then what do you think we do with this guy? He's obviously going to play through the middle, but Jem, going into his 3rd season, mate, do you think, I don't want to say this is his last chance, that's ridiculous, but like if he doesn't deliver this season, then, you know, there's probably going to be big questions asked, isn't there?
I think what people need to try and understand with Kai Havertz is, what is it that you expect from him this season? Yeah. Because if we're sitting here saying he needs to score 20, 30 goals a season, he's not going to do that. You're asking for something that he's not going to, it's not him. He's not going to do that. Do I expect him to get in double digits? Yeah, of course I do. I think he's got the talent kick on. But this is why I keep crying out for a creator, because I do feel the more that we have on the pitch that can create from different positions, the more he's going to find himself with the opportunities. And yeah, he may miss a couple, but if the creativity's there and you know, Sterling's beside him and doing his bit and contributing to goals, and say Sterling gets 17 goals and Havertz gets 14, you know, and then whoever that other creator we've got gets into double digits as well with his assists on top of that, then I think you've got, you know, for me, that's a good season. They've done what they've needed to do. It, dependent on where it leaves us in the table, could be 2nd, we could be 3rd. I don't know, you know, 1st if we're lucky. But evidently, the issue with Havertz, and I keep stressing about it, is the chemistry. Yeah, you can't, like, if there's too many chalk and cheese players in this team at the moment. You've got Werner, who can only suit one style of way that we play. You've got Hakim Ziyech, who only suits one style of way we play, 4 system. We've got Callum Hudson-Odoi, who supposedly should be playing off the left of the forward line, but doesn't, and gets played as a right wing back. You know, and even when he is given opportunities, he's inconsistent. Let's be serious. He's inconsistent as well. Mason Mount, we're heavily reliant on him. I don't think his performances were absolutely great last season. I actually think his outputs were there, but his overall performances in games wasn't always great. But still, he gets the job done. Yeah. So it's finding the balance and finding the chemistry that suits the Tuchel system. And unfortunately, there's too many players that I think in the attack that just don't suit it. So it doesn't matter if you put Havertz with Werner, Havertz with Ziyech, Havertz even with Pulisic to a degree. You don't always get that consistent chemistry flow. It just doesn't work. And that's where you maybe have to look at the system, potentially. Or you buy players that actually evidently make this system good, that actually suit it and are actually versatile and can actually, you know, complement the players that you're going to play with, like Havertz and Sterling and Mount, for example. I don't think we have that, mate.
No, mate, I agree. We don't have that. I agree with your point on chemistry. The fact that I don't think, well, Chelsea fans probably don't really know what our best front line is. I don't think Tuchel knows what the best front line is either. And I think, as you say, if you're looking to strike up relationships, strike up chemistry on the pitch, you need consistency with your selections up there. And, you know, it's not a criticism of Tuchel, because I probably do the same thing. You're selecting certain attackers like 1 week or for a couple of weeks on the spin. They're not doing the job. You think, right, need to try and, you know, mix it up with someone else. When you're chopping and changing every game, every couple of games, you're not, as you say, you're not getting any chemistry between the forward players. You know, one game, you know, let's say Mount and Havertz might have a good link up. The next game, Havertz is then out for 2 games and he's not playing. And then you're trying to strike up different relationships with other players. It's just, I don't really know where we go from here. But mate, I want to bring this up again, because I know it might not be popular with certain fans, but we are desperate for forward players. There's not that many on the market that you would argue could kind of move the needle. I want to revisit Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, Ben Jacobs saying that Jorge Mendes is making it clear to clubs that Ronaldo is willing to potentially take a 30% pay cut to leave Man United. Currently, no club close to signing him. Jem, if, as we expect, you know, Hakim Ziyech moves on, you know, Broja moves on, Werner potentially moves on, and there's not many other options, do you think, having kind of ruled ourselves out, do you think we could be tempted to go back in and look at this? And do you think that would be a smart thing to do?
No, not one bit. No, because you bring him in, ultimately you still have the same problem.
Yeah.
Actually have a bit more of a problem for me, because what is it we're bringing Ronaldo in to do? Score goals.
Yeah.
Who's creating for him? Because if
Right,
you haven't got a creator next to him, all right, Sterling might do it, but him and Sterling could work to a degree. What does it mean then for Havertz? Because he ain't playing off the wing, is it? Yeah, so that means that he ain't going to play. Mason Mount, is he consistently the guy that you can rely on to consistently create every game? I don't think so. I don't think that is his game. I think he can do it, but I just don't think he's the guy that you can do it all the time. Yeah, look, Ronaldo scores goals. I get the whole thing of it. We want goals. I get that. But we had Lukaku here who scored goals and didn't work hard for the team and didn't do A, B, C, and D. He ain't going to help the team other than maybe if you put him in the right spot and you put the ball in his head, he's going to score. Other than that, but it's getting the ball to him. But other than that, he's not going to run around. He's not going to press. He's not going to shut people down. He's going to moan at players when they don't pass him the ball. It's not going to really. What I'm saying is, you buy Ronaldo. What that tells me is that you have no plan, because Ronaldo is not the plan moving forward. When Tuchel says we need a rebuild, you don't go and bring Ronaldo.
No,
what you should be looking at players. This is where your scouting team needs to come in and do their fucking job, bro. Like, that's what they're there to do. Go and find the next winger that's like Sterling, that can be direct and score goals and this, that, and the other. Like, this is where you need your scouting team to go and do their job. Do you know what I mean? And if it means that we bring in a player that needs a bit of time to think, I'm up for that, because we're not winning. I don't think we're close to winning a titles yet. Personally,
no, I still think we're a couple seasons away.
So what is it? What is it that we're expecting? What is it we want? Because we get Ronaldo, and you've got Sterling. Like, what is it that as fans are we expecting our football club to do in that season? And I don't know, man. I don't
know, mate. It's like, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, we'll get onto the centre backs in a sec, but I would expect after that the priority would then shift to the forward line. By the way, guys, make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, and please do smash the likes. Let's get those likes up. And if you haven't subscribed and you're tuning in now, please do subscribe. On the road to 1K before the start of the season, so let's hit 900 first by the end of this week, and then get onto the 1K before the season starts. Jem Broja, you mentioned him earlier, mate. I've got to say, mate, I'm very surprised by his apparent mentality here. It couldn't be clearer from watching the pre-season games the last couple, that there is a clear pathway here. Batshuayi is dog shit. He's just not part of the plans whatsoever. And then you've got Kai Havertz is the main 9. There's no other number 9 in the squad at all. There's no profile like Broja in the squad. Werner would be potentially competition, but he doesn't really play as a 9 at Chelsea. He more plays off the left or whatever. And yet, it's clear the pathway's there. And, you're seeing Batshuayi get these minutes in pre-season. You're thinking, that's Broja's opportunity right there. That's your minutes, mate, like, to make a choice. And now you're saying that you want to go to West Ham, 30 million. You want a permanent deal, priority to have guaranteed game time, according to Fabrizio, and to feel important in the club. But Tuchel is doing everything he can to keep him. I'm thinking, if I'm Broja, why am I going to go to West Ham, right, where I might be back up to Antonio. They might bring in Scamacca from Sassuolo. And then your second/third choice at West Ham, when you could be second/third choice at Chelsea. There's 5 subs this season. You get plenty of minutes in the Premier League, probably. You get a lot of minutes in the Carabao Cup and the early rounds of the FA Cup. And in the dead rubber Champions League group stage, you get minutes there as well. I don't understand Broja's mindset. I don't get what he's thinking.
I agree with you. I think there's a clear pathway for him. I do question his thought process. I don't see how he can feel that he's not going to be an important figure in this squad. There's a clear pathway for him to be able to do rotation with Havertz and potentially take the position if he's scoring goals and we benefit from him. He could be leading the line if he implements himself. This is Chelsea Football Club. He was a baby when he was standing next to Roman Abramovich. There's a picture of them two standing. You know what I mean? Like, you're meant to be Chelsea through and through. Supposedly, this is what you want, but you're looking to go to West Ham, where they don't even play two. Someone told me the reason he wants to go West Ham is because they play a bit like Southampton. They don't play Shea Adams and they don't play Antonio with a striker.
They play one.
That's what I'm saying. So it can't be the formation. You can't sit there and say to me, well, the reason he doesn't want to think is because the formation, it don't work. Right? for me, it's a weird one. I don't get it. I know he's injured at the moment and he's back at Chelsea trying to sort that out, but I question it personally. And at the end of the day, for me, it's as simple as this: you don't want to fight for your position. You don't want to fight for this football club. You don't want to show the manager and the squad what you're about because you don't feel that you're going to be, important in his words. Even though Tuchel said he is, Tuchel said he's vital and he'll use him and he wants to assess him and whatever. Then that's on you. But what annoys me with it is the fan base find it very easy to blame Tuchel for it. And it's not fair because this is not Tuchel's decision. Tuchel's come out and said, "I want to use the fucking guy," and there's a space for him here to show me, like everyone else is doing. That I just feel sometimes the attitude of these boys is that they just think they can come and wear the shirt and start. Yeah, they think it's like Trevor Chalobah or something. The Trevor Chalobah example. It's like, oh, he got in. Well, no, Trevor Chalobah took his opportunity because there was a gaping gap in the defence that we potentially needed backup in anyway, and he took his chance. His first couple of games, he was awesome. That's what set him off. But he took his chance, and he stayed, and he took it. Broja's not doing that. Broja's sitting there saying, yeah, no, I don't feel important here, and I don't know how I'm going to be used, so, I'm thinking about going somewhere else. Like, come on, man. Actually, Fabrizio Romano's tweeted, by the way, I don't know what he's tweeted, which scares me.
I don't know mate. Hopefully it's hopefully it's some positive news. But yeah, mate, as you say, Broja is interesting because we want him to stay, but he obviously doesn't want to be here. And at the end of the day, mate, as you say, if he hasn't got the mentality to fight for his spot, then at the end of the day, best of luck to the lads and go and enjoy your career elsewhere. If he obviously hasn't got the mindset like your Chalobahs, like your Ampadu, like your Gallaghers, he's got a clearer pathway than a lot of those lads. And if he ultimately doesn't want to stay, then he doesn't want to stay. But as we discussed previously, it leaves us with a problem in the attacking line. No number 9 profile in the squad at all. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. Maybe Broja could be talked around potentially, but it looks like he's very much set on a move to West Ham. But Jem, let's move on, mate. Defenders, your guy, Jules Kounde. This saga has been going. We seem to have come full circle on it. He was like, it should have happened last year. It should have happened last year, as I said, and then it should have happened earlier in this window. Then it seemed like we had other targets in the Licks. Then we got Koulibaly done, and then we're looking at Ake, we're looking at Kimpembe. But now we've sort of come full circle for him. And I think the latest so far appears to be that Chelsea are now feeling confident of signing Jules Kounde. 55 million bid was in line with Sevilla's expectations. Still waiting for the final green light. Today is a key day. So Kounde's been offered a deal till 2027, 5-year deal. Jem, this is just a waiting game now, isn't it? But I mean, we should never have been in this position in the first place, should we? Because as I said, we should have got this wrapped up ages ago.
Yeah, I'm fed up of waiting, mate. Before I even give my comments on it, Fabrizio Romano did bring out a tweet just now, but he's pretty much just copied what someone else said about an hour ago. So it's nothing new from what he's saying there. Basically, where is it? Where did I put it? I'll send it to you, Charlie, anyway. So you've got it.
I'll just read it out now. Jules Kounde has been left out of Sevilla's squad for upcoming pre-season friendly in Portugal as negotiations are still ongoing. It was already decided internally as Sevilla are in talks to sell Kounde this week. So, yeah, nothing like majorly new there. Obviously, Kounde out of pre-season at the moment with negotiations. This is pretty close, Jim. Do you think, mate, I know you're a massive fan of this. Do you think this is pretty close to getting done? I know we don't want to celebrate just yet. Barcelona could still potentially come in, but are you confident now that we should get this across the line?
I don't know what to feel anymore. These journos are just kind of around, up and down, this, that, and the other. Look, I've been confident in Jules Kounde even when it went quiet. I still was one of the only guys that said, I still feel we're going to get him. I still feel we're going to go back for him. And people were trying to say that Ake was more of a priority to Tuchel, and Tuchel doesn't really see Kounde as like his type of player and all this. But we pulled out of the Ake deal, and that was 45 mil. Yeah, to go and put a 60 mil bid in euros, which is about 50, just over 50 mil. Yeah, just over 50 mil for Kounde. So where's, supposedly this manager doesn't rate him, but he's already given the green light to do that. So for me, that was just nonsense in itself. Look, I want him. I've made it clear I've wanted him. It's been stressful, the whole Kounde saga. I kind of blame Chelsea to a degree for it to get to this stage because we could have done this last season. We didn't. I kind of understand to a degree why we didn't with Sevilla because Monchi and Sevilla are absolute nightmares to work with in the first place anyway. You know, we offered them something. They wanted the full release clause last year. We didn't do it. Cool, I get it. Comes to this season, the guys in London, you know, meeting agents, trying to look at properties and whatever, and then sanctions come, and then we get told after the sanctions that we're going to sign him, and then we sack Marina, and then Todd Bowley and that come in, and they start prioritising Delit, Ake, fucking this, that, and the other, and don't bother getting, you know, don't. I actually think we wanted Delit. The reason we didn't get Delit is just because of Bayern Munich. Let's be serious, right? And they spent the money, but you know, they've gone into Kounde now. Barca have already agreed personal terms with the guy because the guy's sitting there thinking, well, you know, if you're not going to come for me, I've said I'm ready to come to you guys, and I'm going to have to start talking else because he didn't want to stay at Sevilla anyway, so I don't blame him. So he's agreed personal terms with Barca, he's agreed personal terms with Chelsea, and then all of a sudden Chelsea wake up, look, there's the money, we want you, and now Sevilla want to bid him more, and that's what Monchi's going to do because he wants to get as much money as possible out of this because 20% of this money goes to Bordeaux, who are in a financial crisis at the moment themselves, because that's where he came from before he went to Sevilla, and that's what they're owed once he makes his next move. So the way they're seeing it is how much money can we make? Now, how I feel about it is that I actually feel deep down it's done. Like I think we're at a point now, I said this yesterday, I think it's at a point now where it's probably on the lawyers signing contracts and doing the finalizations, the bonuses and whatever. Like I think it's at that point. I know people saying that Sevilla have given Barcelona the opportunity, and I think they have. And we know that the second lever kicks in today for them, which means they're going to have funds. But what people don't remember with the funds for Barcelona is that some of that funds has to pay off some of the new players that have come in, and they owe money to players that are currently there anyway, like De Jong in wages and stuff. So, you know, they will have money left over, don't get me wrong, but then they want Bernardo Silva, who's going to cost them 60 million. They apparently want Jules Kounde, that's going to cost them 60 million. They just bought Rafinha for over the odds of 65 million. They've just bought Lewandowski for 50 million. They're not like, it don't make sense, Charlie. How are they doing it? You know, like, this is supposedly a club that's broke. Now walking around,
but they're signing all their first choice players. Right. Like no money, but we're signing everyone we want. As you say, mate, it don't make sense. I think I agree with you. Like you're always wary about it. Like they could just come in, and then I could understand from Sevilla's perspective, as you said, you know, they'll want to try and get as much as they can. So it's in their interests for them to get an offer from Barca. But I don't know if Barca can afford him or not. They might maybe looking at other options. But Jim, say we do get him. How much of a big plus is it? Because for me, it also, you know, that versatility is there as well. Right-sided centre-back. And then also we've seen him play right-back as well for France and Sevilla at times as well. So it almost kind of fills two positions in the squad with one signing. I mean, he'd bring great qualities. He's a good defender. He's got some good aggression in him as well. And the thought of him Koulibaly and Thiago Silva next season, it's a strong backline. You could almost say it's better than what we had last season.
It is better than what we had last season. Christensen doesn't even touch it for me, to be honest. Rudiger, I mean, you could argue Rudiger's probably the best in the three in the world at the moment. I get that. But you've got Koulibaly who brings leadership skills as well. So it'd just be interesting to see how well Koulibaly fits in. But he can play centre-back as well. He's played for Sevilla in the back four, the centre-back. He can play right wing-back. He can play right-back. Some people feel he might even be forced to play right wing back. I don't really want to see that because that's not what he should be there to do. But we know Tuchel likes to do these things. He shouldn't, I don't think. But it brings a lot of quality. And ultimately why I want this player so much and have wanted him for a while is because I see a player that has all the ability with the right manager to become I think, a top world-class defender. His ability to be able to read the game. He never makes rash tackles. He's a bit. You remember like Aspilicueta back in the day when he was good. He always used to stand off people and win the ball like without actually sliding in. Do you know what I mean? He used to just stand off and like he's got that about him. You know, he doesn't let you breathe. He can jump, even though people talk about his height. When people mention his height, I laugh because that tells me you don't watch Jules Kounde. He's won 3/4 of his aerial duels in La Liga since he's been there. So let's not say that he can't jump because he's too small. He can jump. He judges his jumps quite nicely. You know, his ability moving out with the ball is a big one for me. He's so progressive. Like he'll get the ball and he'll just look forward every time. It's like, how can I get this ball into a position where, you know, we can be effective? And from corners, he's scored a fair share of goals as well. So I think I think this makes sense. He fits the Tuchel system. I think Tuchel can even make him a better player. And part of the reason why I think he wants Chelsea is not only just the manager, but more so why I think now It's because we've got the likes of people that Koulibaly and Thiago Silva that
Yeah.
you can go and learn from, bro. Like, this is abundance of experience, right? You've got two of the best centre-backs in the last, God knows, decade playing next to each other. And there's one, but then Tuchel's going to play a free, which means you've got one position that could be yours potentially, and you could be playing with them. Why would you not take that? I don't know. But you're going to go and play for Barcelona and play with Christensen. Like, it ain't got a good defence. Well, they got PK and Christensen and some other guy. You know what I mean?
Got a Rauho, and that's about it. Yeah,
it will test his mentality. What I'm going to say to this, just to finish off, we will see his mentality as a player, because if he wants to test himself, he comes to the best Premier League in the world. He plays with two of the most experienced players in world football in the defence. Yeah, and he comes into a project which is very clear and evident under the new owners that we really want to kick on and become this animal again. Yeah, if he doesn't and he goes to toothpick Barcelona, that just tells me that, for me, it doesn't show me anything, because I don't even know if Barcelona are going to be around the next couple of years at this rate.
Right, well, this is exactly it, mate. And I think he's already, quotes, but I don't know how official the quotes are, but he would be excited to play and learn from Koulibaly, as I said. And as you say, mate, two of the best defenders in the game. You could learn so much and bring your game on so much as well. And a right-hand side, imagine like Kounde right centre back with Reece James at right wing back. It's a frightening thought, really, but hopefully that does get done. There should be more news on that today. Today is obviously a key day in that, so maybe today, maybe tomorrow, we get some more news on that. But Jem, say Kounde does come in, mate. That's Kounde and Koulibaly. All kind of reports and kind of targets we're looking at would suggest that we would be potentially going in for another centre half on top of those two. We've been linked with Kimpembe. It looks like he's more than happy to stay at PSG. And even if a fee was agreed, it would still ultimately be down to the player. He's still very much part of the plans at PSG. Do you think two things, mate. Do you think Kimpembe is sort of maybe done now? He doesn't really want to come. And do you actually think we need, if we were to get Kounde everyone, do we need a third centre-back? Or do you think we can get by with using Chalobah and Colwell to fill in?
I don't think Kimpembe's coming to Chelsea. I think he's staying at PSG. I think he's made it very clear that he's happy there. And PSG have made it clear that they want to use him. They still see him as a very important player in their team. It's not like they've said, well, go on, go. We've got someone else. They've got Ramos, though. Don't get me wrong, and Marquinhos, but Ramos is at the end of his era. So, I don't know. Like, it's a weird one. I think we are going to go hammer and tong on this Kounde deal if it isn't done, because I feel he's one of the only options list. There was talks about Gorvidal from RB Leipzig. Gvardiol, like, he's another one that's all of a sudden come alive again. But I don't think we've got the time after we've sorted out this one centre-back to start looking for more centre-backs. We've got more telling issues, the wing-back areas. Who's back up for Reece James and Ben Chilwell? We're going to stick with Emerson and Alonso. We're going to what we're going to do? We're going to stick with what's Reece James got? I don't even know. We're going to put Calamas and Adoy there. Like,
we haven't got anyone. That's what I think, mate. That's what I think. Kounde, if he signs, he'll end up being a backup choice there, because I can't see us signing Kounde and then signing another wing back. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an issue in itself. They've got to sort that out. I don't even want to talk about the midfield because I get the whole DM thing. Don't get me wrong, and it allows us to switch systems. But Jorginho staying, Kane staying. Could they look to bring someone in potentially? But do I think it's their priority at the moment? I think the next priority is the forward line. I don't even think they're thinking about wing backs. I think they're going to go, right, we need to get someone else in here, because Sterling's, you can see that it's there, but we need something else. So ultimately, I think it'll be sort out your centre back, one more centre back, get a forward or even two if they can, whoever they are, and find a wing back. And I think midfield will probably come as the last thing. Personally, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we will have to see. I mean, I don't know, mate. Would you feel confident going into next season just adding Kounde and Koulibaly is obviously fantastic, and but would you be happy to let the likes of Colwell take a space in the squad, get a few more minutes, and obviously Chalobah probably play a few more minutes as well? You arguably looking at Koulibaly, Silva, and Kounde as the first choice, three, and then you've got backup choices of Colwell, Chalobah. I mean, Aspie if he's still here. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel I don't know. I feel we maybe need one more. I'm not sure. I
think we do need. It depends what we do with Aspie. If Aspie goes,
we need one more.
One more. But I don't know. You looked at it. Colwell can be back up for Thiago Silva.
Yeah.
We've got Malang Sarr, who's not back up for Koulibaly, but still.
I didn't even think about him.
Yeah, you got Trevor Chalobah, who's back up for Kounde. Yeah, you could use Reece James and alternate him in between the two, but you can't do that if you haven't got a wing back. So, yeah, I've said this. There's so much that we need to sort out, and we're 2 weeks away from the window. I don't think we're going to be sorting all of them positions out. So I think what Tuchel's trying to do is try and find some stopgaps where we can just cover the areas for now with some of the academy, maybe some of the low knees, and maybe just try and target maybe 2 positions that we can just get sorted quickly, and then go again next summer and just try and sort out the other bits like the Declan Rices and whatever else they're thinking of.
I mean, we're not going to, as you say, we're not going to, as you say, we're a month behind pretty much anyway because of everything that's been going on with the club. We're not going to, I think, a large section of the fan base need to realise as well that this is not going to all be sorted in one window. This is going to be a gradual building process. We can't bring in 7, 8 players in one window. We could get 5 or 6. We do need more players for sure, but it's going to be a gradual building process. And I think we need to adjust our expectations and realise that, let's be serious. At best, I think we come second next season, but realistically, we're going to come third again. And, we just have to adjust to that we are in a bit of a transition. City and Liverpool are clear of us at the moment. So we just need to adjust those expectations, bring in the guys what we can, address the key areas on the pitch with players, and then kind of, just make do with some of the younger lads to fill the squad while we then in future windows, we can bring a bit more in. But yeah, I do agree, Matt. I do think we get Kounde. I still think we need one more, but I don't know who that one more would be. Kimpembe seems unlikely, as you said now. And then you're looking at it, Gvardiol would cost a fuckload of money. And I don't really know what others are kind of out on the market. But I just wanted to round out with midfield briefly. At the start of the window, before it all started, everyone was going on about the midfield is apart from the defence, is the main priority. That seems to have completely changed. We all know Declan Rice is the main target. Tuchel wants him. That is the number one choice. It's the only choice, really. We haven't really been linked with anyone else in midfield. I mean, I don't want to say never, but I think we potentially towards the end of the window could try something on Declan Rice. Maybe I feel, but I think it's unlikely he comes this summer. Mate, the midfield is so overpopulated. It looks like Gilmore's going to go out on loan or maybe be sold permanently. I'm not sure. Obviously, he got shunted down to the 23s for pre-season, moved from the first team squad. You've got Loftus-Cheek still is obviously not on the tour because of his vaccination status. Kante, obviously, not on the tour either. He's in the last year of his contract. Jorginho, last year of contract. Kovacic is going to be around. You've got Gallagher. You've got Ampadu who can do bits in there as well. Fucking Barkley, Jesus. Yeah, and players we need to get rid of. It's overpopulated in there, mate. What do you see happening? Because it's great. We all want players in, but at the same time, mate, other than the free transfers, no players have left the club. And we need players out the door big time as well.
We've got too many midfielders that don't fit the system.
Yeah.
We've got Larue Loftus-Cheek. We've got Barkley. I think Conor Gallagher we're yet to see could potentially be in that mix. There's too many 8/10s that are just not getting because all they can play is a 6. And you could ultimately, I know we're trying to sign players, but we need to sell a ton of players as well, man. I don't know why Barkley's still there. I don't know how Alonso is apparently still going to be here because Barcelona are now.
Mate, he haunts us. You can't get rid of the guy.
Quetta might stay or go, depending on what happens with Kounde to a degree, I guess, with that one. I don't know. The midfield's a weird one. I do feel that Todd Boehly wants to make a marquee signing this summer window. I feel like there's that one player that they want to bring in that's like a big player. I don't think Declan Rice is specifically like a marquee, but I think that for the money, if they were to spend that money, that would make him very like it will catch a lot of attention because of the money spent on him. So I think that could be could happen later in it. I know people think Neymar could be an option in the attack. I'm not a big fan of the idea personally, but Sterling, Neymar, Mount, and Havertz, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, it talks about Núñez in midfield from Sporting Lisbon.
It's not the right profile.
It's not that profile against someone.
He's box to box. We don't need that.
There's another one that's so there's not many DMs out there. Tchouameni would have fit perfect if we'd have just got him for Real Madrid.
Mate, I still can't believe we chose Saul instead. It's
Even
criminal.
Kamara for free. At least he
Yeah.
at least he holds that position. That's his natural position. We could have just got him before. Like, I don't know, man. I just don't know anymore. I don't know what we're going to do. It's like they're doing something. I do feel something's going on. It's just what are they going to prioritize, and what are they actually going to fulfill in this window? Because we have lost out on, let's say, a fair share on a couple of deals already, haven't we? Let's be serious. So
yeah, no, we have, mate. I mean, just on terms of it, it looks like they're going to, as you say, mate, the profile of midfielders we've got in the squad, like it better suits us playing a 3 for sure. But I don't think we're going to play a 3 in midfield from the beginning of the season. But certainly, I think we'll see the 3 in the midfield a lot more this season. But ultimately, I think the back 3, back 5 is going to be the main formation. And to be honest, for the amount of players we've got in the midfield, not a lot of them suit the pivot position. Gallagher doesn't. Loftus-Cheek doesn't really. He does a job there, but he'd be much more comfortable playing in a 3-man midfield. So would Kovacic, really. And I just don't really know where we're going with midfield. We certainly need to get rid of players, but we certainly need a few more. I think we still need a midfield player to come in, but I don't know who that would be. I mean, what would you reckon of the links to Frankie de Jong? I mean, again, I think it's probably most of it's coming from the Catalan press in Barcelona, so it probably is bullshit. But I mean, do you think there's anything to that, or is just them using Chelsea or using a club to try and get Man United to hurry up? I don't think they're genuine links.
What Ben Jacobs said yesterday was that Laporta's trying to force de Jong out the window because they want to make money on him. And obviously, that's one thing that they want to do. They want to sell players that hold a bit of value that they specifically don't require for money. The problem is Frankie de Jong doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay at Man United. He wants to stay at Barcelona. Man United have already been forced away from it. They've given Chelsea an opportunity to sign him. Apparently, they've given some other teams the opportunity to sign him as well. It's a weird one because if the club's forcing you out but you want to stay, I wouldn't want to stay. I'll be like, you don't want me. What is that? So it's a weird one. If I'm Frankie de Jong, I'll be like, let me go somewhere that someone actually wants me to be there. Why am I playing for someone? But it's Barcelona, and I don't know what it is with these players or what's in their drinks these days. It's like they can't leave Barcelona, even though Barcelona are not the 10-year ago Barcelona they would. They're a declining Barcelona, and it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's the Xavi thing, the way him being as the manager there as well and having his way of words and putting them in and whatever. But de Jong is a one to watch. They could do it. Maybe that could be the shock later on. It could be that Chelsea just goes, fuck it, we're going for de Jong. I don't know. We're going to have to see, mate. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, just last thing before we round out. On, obviously, current midfield players that are here, Jorginho and Kante, both out of contract at the end of this upcoming season, going into the last 12 months. We've seen it before. We've had it with Christensen and Rudiger, both leaving on frees. We don't want a repeat situation. What would you like to see kind of happen there? Because for me, we really need to find out this summer what their intentions are. Because if they don't want to be here, then we need to try and get some money from them. So we don't want to be sitting here this time next year, and we've lost those two on a free as well, losing two key midfielders on a free the summer after losing 2 centre-backs on a free. I mean, how do you see that situation playing out? Because ultimately, I still think they'll both be here next season, but I wouldn't be confident on them both signing new deals.
No, I think you'll see both of them potentially gone next season. I think this season they'll be here. I think they have to be here. We've got no choice. We haven't really been able to address the areas, and I think they probably understand the situation that Chelsea are in at the moment. With the new owners and trying to fulfil certain areas and whatever else. Maybe one of them stays. He might do, or I don't think Jorginho does. I think Jorginho will leave eventually. But we will have them ultimately for this season. And, it goes back to the same thing of that we're going to be playing the free because they ultimately are supposedly are better as a pivot. You can't play one on its own and 2 in front and have 2 8s because you haven't got the protection there with whoever that sits there. If it's Jorginho, he can't sit and hold and you can't leave him alone because he can get overrun very quickly. If it's Kante, some people feel that he's not the same. He's not going to be able to get across the pitch as much more. He loses the ball. He makes silly passes here and there. I actually thought Kante could have, Kante a couple of years ago in his prime could have actually done us a job right now and just sat there. Like if he was able to just, because people go, but he likes going forward. That's it. But it's only ever since Sarri came where we were asking Kante to be this forward player where he shuts down like higher up the pitch. So I don't know, mate. Then you got Kovacic, haven't you? He's not going to sit, and he's ultimately probably better with the ball at his feet and driving forward of it. So it's like you don't want him sitting you know what I mean? When you want him breaking teams down with his speed and his dribbling ability. So we're in a sticky position, mate, really, with midfield. It's like we're going to end up playing the same midfield, basically.
We are in trouble. I just wanted to quickly bring this tweet up from Pice, which has just come out now. Someone in the chat saying that Kounde's got plans to live in the house left by Lukaku, a common practice with football players. But Barcelona could try one last attempt. However, Kounde has already said yes to Chelsea. That's according to Goal. So Kounde plan to live in Lukaku's house. So, I mean, I don't know where they get this information from, but yeah, mate, thoughts on that? Hopefully he doesn't pick up his attitude and his ability from there. But yeah, I mean, Kounde potentially going to live in Lukaku's house. Well, I didn't really know that was common practice in football, but I guess Sterling was trying to sell his house to Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. So maybe it is.
Maybe it is the case that Lukaku's not been able to sell it and Kounde's like, well, I'll have it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe.
Someone said it's a haunted house. Yeah, it feels like a haunted house.
Could you imagine he signs, he goes to that Lukaku house, and then he turns out to be shit. It would just be like it would be standard Chelsea. But yeah, mate, that seems like a good place to round out. Hopefully, some positive news regarding Jules Kounde at some point today, if not tomorrow. Hopefully, by the end of this week, he will be a Chelsea player. We're not going to see him against Arsenal on Sunday, that's for sure. But hopefully, Kounde is going to be the next signing. But as we've been discussing, we need more. So hopefully Kounde through the door, and then we can move on to the next targets, get a few more in. The season's fast approaching. Big up everyone in the chat. As always, sorry I haven't bought any of them up. I've been reading and they've been coming in quick. But yeah, guys, really appreciate all your support. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well. If you're tuned in now and you haven't subscribed, please do. On the road to 1K before the season starts. That's still very much doable. But yeah, guys, we're 5-6 subs away from 860. Let's get to that 860 before the stream's out. So on your way out, smash that subscribe button. Get us to 860. We'll get to 900 pretty soon, the K by the season. So please do that. Appreciate all the support. Jem, thanks for your time as always, bro. Really appreciate it. Make sure you check out Jem's Twitter. I've linked it in the description, and subscribe to GNA TV as well. Jem, you're approaching not far from 10K, are you, mate?
Yeah, we're getting
there.
We're nearly at 7. Well, we're getting to just over halfway of 6, so on our way to 7K subscribers over there. So yeah, check us out.
Yeah, guys, make sure you check him out. Linked in the description as well. So let's do it, guys. As always, get to 860 on the way out. So smash that subscribe button. Chelsea in action against Arsenal on the early hours of Sunday morning UK time in Orlando. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how we get on there. We'll be back probably Sunday. With some match reaction to that and some more news. But until then, guys, take care, up the Chelsea, and catch you soon.